Hey, what's up everyone, this is Sean and welcome to a brand new video here on the Magic and Thrills. Hey, what's up everyone, this is Sean and welcome to a brand new video here on the Magic and Thrills. Now in this video today, I wanted to kind of go through another fun little discussion, a share your story kind of thing again. And today's video is going to be about sharing. This is going to be a split between both Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando because I love both theme parks equally for different reasons, and I wanted to kind of have a video that really allows everyone. I want you guys to share in the comments below, and I'll share my stories here, my personal feelings too, about your top 2 rides, whatever they are, or top 2 experiences at each park. It can be anything from, just from a coaster like it is for me, to just a walkthrough experience, whatever it is. And I kind of want to keep this to a fun version of not including the special ticketed events. So this is not going to include any after-hour stuff for Disney, none of that stuff, or nothing before the park opens. This is all just straight up day-to-day park operations for both Disney World and for Universal Orlando or Islands of Adventure. It doesn't really matter which one. And so just every day in the park kind of thing of what you love to do, or what your kind of go-to ride is or go-to experience is. So not Halloween Horror Nights, nothing like that, none of those extra things, and no separately ticketed things. So for me, I will give you mine. Now for Walt Disney World, I grew up going to Disney. I used to live in Orlando, and I go there still multiple times a year. For both parks, for both different reasons, one for my kids and one for myself as well, so both different reasons. But for Disney World, my favorite attraction there still, or actually when I was a kid, my favorite one was actually going to be Splash Mountain, just because I love the idea of it being a water ride. And then I loved, the second one would be, this is a recent one actually, the second one would be for the Haunted Mansion. Now the reason why that is because for me, I have been a lifetime horror thriller movie, not a buff, but a fan of the whole genre. And although I don't find Disney movies scary, I love the idea that they put into the Haunted Mansion, if you will, of where it's a scary but not scary but fun experience of a ride through for the Haunted Mansion. And what's funny and crazy about it is that I did not actually ride the ride. I don't know how long it's been open. I know it's been open for many years, and I watched the Behind the Magic or Making the Magic on Disney Plus of how it was created, years ago. But for some reason, I don't remember as a child ever going on it. And my family, when we lived in Orlando, we went to Disney World every year, many times a week. We had annual passes back then in the 90s. And I don't remember that ride or going on. Maybe I did. I can't remember if I did or not. But now as an adult, I'm in my late 30s. And I love that ride the most in the park, for Magic Kingdom at least, just because it's something I can bring my kids on when we go there. It's not too scary. It's dark for sure, but it's not too scary. It's the theming is incredible on it, meaning like there's so much, not hidden stuff, but there's so much on there that it's never the same experience. And it's for sure a way to cool off when it's a really hot day out too. That's for sure as well. And I love that part about it too. But it's one thing where because I go to Disney, I go to Disney World solo by myself, sometimes without my kids and without my family, just to kind of get away. It's just a place I go to solo also sometimes. But it's one of those things where no matter what mood you're in, it'll make you usually hopefully feel better. It's just a happy ride, and it doesn't really ever get boring. Like I could really go on that ride all day long and see different things, and it's just one of those cool things where just even the hallway that you ride down on, and then you have all the picture frames, constantly changing from the light to the dark, and like the neon and the black light, I think it is, and then just going from having it being a scary theme to not scary to a normal portrait or photo or painting. And on the left side you have all the things changing from the things that are like the person, the haunt pushing up out of their casket. And that's what I mean. It's a scary ride, but it's not overly done, or overly scary. Because I have a 4 and a 6-year-old, and they love it. Like they're not scared about it, but they're like, oh, it's dark out in here, but it's not overly scary to where it's like too much. It's not too long, it's not too short. And that's one of my things about Disney lately, is that like with Tron, for example, like it's just too short of a ride to really enjoy. It's still a fun ride, and I love the movie and I love what it is, but it's like by the time you get on and get going, it's already over. So that's one of my favorite things about the Haunted Mansion as an adult, is that it's one of those things where it's like it's never the same experience. You really can kind of always see something new, and it's slow enough to where you can appreciate it. And I mean, it does break down a lot for various reasons, but that's kind of the fun of it too, where I almost enjoy the breakdowns because whatever room it stops in, you can look around and see things you can't see necessarily because of how it's always moving and always on the go. And I love the fact that even at the very, very end of it, it's like you can kind of change the photo that you take and kind of do funny things with your face or with your hands, and you always get different haunts too. And the one thing I wish that they would do, that they would add for Imagineering, is I wish that they would add in the Orlando one, again this is all Walt Disney World, I wish that they would add on the seasonal Nightmare Before Christmas overlay, and I don't know why they don't ever do that. And maybe it's just because it's supposed to be a Disneyland feature for only that ride. The original one gets the ride itself. I don't know why it is, and I've always been curious about that. And if you know the answer to that, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to know why it's only the Disneyland that gets the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. I'd love to know why Disney World does not. It's just something I've always been curious about because it's a great ride as is, but I would love the overlay over Christmas time or over that holiday season. I love that so much, but they don't have it. So, and then the other, and so before the for Splash Mountain, even though it's gone now, and I have not ridden Tiana's Bayou yet. I've not been to Orlando. I'm going there in a few months here again for another vacation with my kid. But when Splash Mountain was there, it was one of those just like you could cool off in it. It was always just some very, again, kind of the same thing as Haunted Mansion, where it's not overly scary of a drop for Splash Mountain, but it was still it was a very just kind of fun quick ride. And the line was never that bad. The line was never terrible on it either. It was always, from what I remember, it was, I mean, as a kid, I mean, there was no Fast Pass or Lightning Lane or Genie Plus back then, so it was never that level of weight, I remember, as a kid, but it was still just a fun ride. So those are my two for Disney World. As far as just the classic rides, I mean, if I had to choose a favorite one, it would be Guardians of the Galaxy, and I'll go into that in another video just for the newer rides and things like that. But this is more of the classic stuff, or just for nostalgia when I was a child, and now even into as well. For Universal Orlando, for sure, my favorite ride right now would be probably, it's either a mixture between Hagrid's. Again, this is speaking a lot before Epic Universe opens up. I have no idea what Harry Potter stuff or what the Universal Monsters ride is going to be like. I'm already hearing it's amazing. So this is all before Epic Universe opens for Universal Orlando. But for now, I've got a split between the Velocicoaster ride and between Hagrid's Magic Motorbike Adventure, and it's because for Velocicoaster, I'm a huge roller coaster fan. I always have been. I've loved them since I was a kid, and that ride really. And I should preface this where I've not been to SeaWorld or Busch Gardens in years. So, and I know they've been really aggressively expanding all their parks or all their roller coasters up quite a bit too. So, and I know that they're really good as well. So I'm not taking away from them. But for Universal Orlando, Velocicoaster is really, it's one of the most intense coasters I've ever been on, as far as it's never the same experience twice. And I love the fact that they go upside down and you kind of go across the top, I don't know what it's called, but the top area for like a good 3 seconds. And I love the fact people are scared about this, but I love it. I love the fact that you are not really ever in your seat the whole ride, meaning like you're always up in the air a little bit, you're always kind of floating, and that's scary to an aspect, but it's kind of part of the adventure of it too, is that you're never really in your seats, you're kind of always floating a little bit, and that scared me the first time I rode it during the pass holder preview stuff, but I've grown to love it over time. And I also love it because of the fact that it's got the I'm just called the top hat, but where you get launched, you go up, you kind of chill up there at the top for a good 2 seconds, it feels like, and you can see, in my opinion, you can see almost all of Orlando from that point of view. And that from there to the drop is one of the more intense, fun overlooks, and it depends on where you are on the coaster too. Like if you're in the back, you just get kind of dragged over, and you get there's not really much time. But when you're in the front, you kind of get like the extra, like, it feels like a half hour, honestly, when you're up top there in the front of the car. But it's one of those very fun things where you can kind of like, it feels like you barely make it in the front car, where you're like, oh, like we barely made it up here, and then you're overlooking everything. And I love that it goes from that into the drop straight down, it feels like, and then you flip upside down and go upside down for what feels like 10 seconds. It's not, but it's just one of those really fun rides, and it's not for everyone at all, for sure. It's not for everyone. Like, I know some people are scared of it, but for me, I remember even from the first time I rode it, again in the AP previews, I was like, it was a new favorite ride immediately. But if I'm ever not wanting that much thrill, because again, that ride is kind of takes its toll on you after a while. Like, I remember riding it during the AP previews a couple years ago, probably 4 or 5 times on the first during the preview time, because there was no one else there, and they were like, you can just keep going through, it's all good, like, we're testing it, so go through. So I remember like riding it for like 4 or 5 times, and as much as I love coasters myself, even, like, it was a little bit like, I got not tired of it, not sick of it either, not like nauseous, but it was more of like my body almost couldn't handle it that much, because of how it really throws you through all these different things like crazy. So it was a little bit overwhelming after a while. So that was the weird thing, because I wasn't used to like being like over a ride like that. But the other ride I would say that would be that's kind of the opposite experience, where it's like it's much lower to the ground, which Hagrid's for that coaster. But and it's because I never ever get tired of riding Hagrid's ever. I wish the line wasn't always so terrible, and hopefully we'll see what happens once Epic Universe opens for it going to Express Pass and all that kind of stuff on it. But just the smoothness of Hagrid's is absolutely incredible to me. Meaning, like, it's never like a jolting ride. So like that's one thing I don't like about Hulk, the coaster for Hulk personally, is that it's a very, like, you get jolted out of the beginning of the ride is a jolt out for speed, and then it kind of yanks you everywhere. And so that ride, it's not only that, it's also the way that you're harnessed into the Hulk ride. It kind of like, it gives me a headache from when your head can kind of bounce between the harness on there. That hurts a little bit after a while, and it's the whole ride that's like that. So I'm not a huge fan of the Hulk. I'll ride it once every now and then, but that's about it. But for Hagrid's, it's a very different thing, because it's the smoothest coaster in Orlando, in my opinion, for now at least. And I love it because it doesn't really ever get boring. There's so many rooms, there's so many themes, there's so many different like slow down, speed up portions, but it's not like a jolty thing. And I love that, because even like my kid, who's my 6-year-old, is going to be riding for the first time this summer when we go. That's why I'm super stoked to be going with him, because he's never ridden a coaster like that. And I mean, if he gets scared, it'll be kind of funny to watch. But it's just one of those coasters where it's like, it's never, you don't get sick from it from riding it too much. And just the theming in the queue is amazing. I love that, and it just really kind of heightens the experience and adds to the experience of what Harry Potter is, more than what the movies ever did, if that makes sense. And again, it kind of highlights the experience by itself. And again, we'll see what happens when the Epic Universe opens up for all the Harry Potter lands and what happens there. But those are my top 2 favorite easily for Universal. So again, in the comments below, let me know what are your favorite rides at both Disney Worlds. It could be anything from experience, again, like I said before, just not anything that's a separately ticketed event, meaning at night or or anything like that. And then for Universal Orlando, what are your 2 favorite experiences or rides there? I'd love to hear them all in the comments below. Give me all the details as well. And if you agree or disagree with me on anything that I mentioned, let me know in the comments as well. Again, thank you for watching as always. I appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next video.